Welcome to the Kaimancast. I'm your host, Red Kaiman. On tonight's show, we have a special guest. Our guest is here to talk about Limitless Comics and his new project, Solo 88. Please welcome Michael J. Williams. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Red. Thanks so much for having me. And Limitless Comics, it means a lot to us.
Awesome. And now I know Limitless has a lot of things going on right now. Can you tell me about what you're excited about right now with Limitless Comics?
I'm excited to be a part of Limitless Comics. My role in Limitless Comics is as the story editor. Anthony brought me on for our recent run of Thirst, which just ended in the Kickstarter. Was successfully funded, and our Solo 88 issue number 2 is something Anthony is really proud of, and the team is really proud of too. Well, we also got a short film going on that's supposed to start a Kickstarter for sometime in the fall through Parabolic Entertainment for Gotcha, which is also going to feature Thirst. But I can't say too much about that. So I'm super excited about that as well.
That was really cool. And can you tell me sort of, about your creative process? Like, how do you come up with these ideas?
So my creative process is a little bit different, but Anthony's vetoed his answer to me. And he's a really fun guy. He's a thinker. We had this running joke for a minute about our best
ideas come in the shower.
We share that comment back, not together, of course, but because he lives in Boston and I live in Biloxi. But it's a quiet place. He likes to marinate the thoughts. We have that in common. It's a vivid process where you could visually imagine characters, scenarios, and kind of work out the storyline before you add it to paper.
Now, what were your sort of influences when creating these projects?
Anthony's influences, it really comes from a high concept fantasy. He's inspired by things like Game of Thrones and epic fantasies like Lord of the Rings. He's a very unique creative mind. He doesn't like to dig too deep into the mainstream comic because it helps him protect his own ideas and keep them original by not having too many influences, which I thought was very unique. You don't hear a whole lot of creators say that because everybody's trying to, imitate or duplicate the type of marketing appeal that their stories could have without, copywriting any type of Marvel character or, characters from companies like Image or IDW. Yeah, that's something very unique.
That's cool. He tries to create his own little thing.
Right. And it's very variations of influences, from back in his past. But he told me a few weeks ago, we were on the phone, that he stopped reading mainstream comics in 2003 when he started getting really serious about his storyline to be something unique. While sometimes you could visually see through some of his characters that there might be tidbits of costume designs or maybe like powers, the obvious nostalgic powers, but everything else is pretty much unique. There's not a whole lot of characters that I can compare his to in mainstream, and he likes it that way.
Now, is that something you want to see more out of comics in the comics industry, to sort of, get in a way of being more original?
I think creatives could be, I think creatives could benefit from backing away from mainstream comics and stories in general. And it's hard because musicians, there's only so many notes and there's only so many different variations that you could play those to create music. And you can hear a lot of, comparisons between like rap songs and R&B stuff and country music even these days, where you kind of hear in there that sounds like, a song you heard from 30 years ago, but in the visual storytelling industry, I think it would benefit a lot of creators because it's what makes them unique, and it also sets the tone for their brand. You see a lot of creators doing stuff like that, but not a whole lot of them trying to be original. And independent comics is special in that regard, and that's what Anthony tries to capture.
Now, were you always obsessed with comics? Like, was Anthony and you guys, like, were you always obsessed with it? Like, what were you obsessed about, like, when you were 12 years old?
I was obsessed with a lot of things, mainly Fox cartoons. When I was 12, Anthony was doing his thing already, traveling to all these Eastern countries and small countries, perfecting his artwork. I was busy tracing and learning how to draw and doodle, and I was telling stories with my action figures. He told me a really cool story though about how he kind of got started with comics, and that his mom used to work for, I guess, a printing press company, and then she used to bring home paper, and he used to sneak away with his colored pencils and fold the paper, and make his own comics, and he said that's something that kept him out of trouble, and it steered him clear from all the paths that would lead you astray in life, and it kept him straight and righteous, and he never stopped, and he never looked back, and he's glad he did so, and I'm kind of glad too, because I would have never been able to be a part of Limitless Comics without it. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought so too. You don't hear that every day. Like it's almost movie worthy origin story, right?
That is cool. That is cool. Now, have you guys been promoting a lot? Have you been like, having any run-ins with any famous people or anything like that?
Anthony told me one time he used to work at a hotel a few years for a while before COVID hit, and he said Ryan Reynolds was shooting the movie for about 7 months and stayed in there. And I'm super jealous about that. He wasn't Deadpool at the time, but they got pretty high. I, on the other hand, I went to Pensacon 2-3 weeks ago. I got to meet Tony Isabella, the creator of Black Lightning. Really nice guy. I got to listen to Peter Davidson talk about all his crazy stories in the writing rooms of Marvel, with the various versions of creating the Hulk and the transition that happened with Aquaman and the offices of DC. And got to talk to a couple of really cool gentlemen at Scout Comics at their table. Travis Rigg, author of Voodoo Nations, which is on Kickstarter. Really nice guy. I bought a few of his issues, and an issue called Stake, which was really cool, like social media type vampire story. Those meetings and the network conversations that I had kind of lean me a little bit to the right of comics and going into comics and stuff. Being classically trained and educated in creative writing, I think comics is going to be a field that I stick with probably forever. Just the visual effects of storytelling and the impact it has on the reader. It's almost unique to every other type of storytelling out there, including television and movies, which is why a lot of television is moving in the optioning of comics, with major shows like The Walking Dead and The Boys. There's just a lot of opportunities there.
Can I be 100% honest? I'm not like a fan of The Walking Dead. You want to know why?
Oh no, Robert Kirkman, close your ears.
Yeah, well, Kirkman tried to sue me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because my comic project is called King Firepower, right?
Okay.
And I guess he had a project called Firepower, and he's like, "You can't call it this." And I'm like, "Really, dude? Like, they're totally different stories and everything else. And Firepower is kind of a vague phrase anyway." But he's like, "No, you can't call it this. And if you call it this, we're going to sue you." And people are like, "Yeah, well, you might have a chance, but he's Kirkman. He's got a bunch of money. You're not going to be able to do this."
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
One of the most difficult things about being creative is navigating the legality and the copywriting game of writing. And this is why you should never create an IP without drafting at least the first issue, and then
Mm.
getting that copywritten through the WGAW or the WGA or through the U.S. Congress library of constitutional library, whatever that is on their USGOV site.
But here's the thing though, like I copyrighted it through, right? It actually went through the people that I forgot what's called, but the guy who's like approves everything, he actually approved it, and then they tried to hit me with it, and I'm like, really? I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't know. I might have to edit this out or whatever, but yeah, that's
yeah, maybe. When you start talking about other people,
yeah, maybe I'll just cut this part out. But that's my experience with that Kirkman. So yeah.
But a lot of writers on that level, though, they don't just copyright things at that point. Their writing style is a brand, and so instead of copywriting, once you get the money, you can trademark it. And what that might be is a marketing tactic that would make Kirkman's title appear first in like a Google search, and because the name trademarked, they wouldn't want anything to touch that. It's very unfortunate, but it does happen in the industry a lot more than people admit to. But
so Solo 88, can you sort of tell everybody about that project, like about it?
So Solo 88 is one of our most popular titles. Artists like Joe Galicia and Wyrie Wong, who did Weapons and Armory, worked on it. Fabulous artwork. But Solo 88 is basically a cybernetic mercenary hired by a company that I can't talk about right now because it plays into the shared universe that we're currently trying to build. It gets discovered later on, but they're after the Muffin Man. The Muffin Man is also one of our other top titles, and the stories intertwine, and it has to do with the anatomy of Muffin Man. Anybody who's this Solo issue 1 would know what I'm talking about. Muffin Man kind of brings him back to life after a really funny way by a character named Little Miss Patty Cakes. I know it sounds really strange, but it's one of my favorite characters in the Muffin Man. I believe Anthony's going to send you a chance to read it. You'll have a little silent giggle because you'll think about this moment. You'll know what I'm talking about. But he's a cybernetic mercenary working for a great corporation. Really, no questions asked, and they just point him in a direction, and then he goes. Whether or not he has much of a choice, it's a creative decision that we really haven't had any discussions about, I presume. But even Anthony keeps things from me. Still a fan, and I have been for 3 or 4 years, and he likes to surprise me. But I tell him all the time, I was like, but I'm the editor. It's like, no man, but you gotta love it. You just gotta wait. Just wait for it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just read it when I read it. It's part of his creative process, though. He has a lot of fun with it. But yeah, he's a cybernetic mercenary. There's a lot of fabulous characters in Solo 88, aside from the Muffin Man, that are going to be joining soon. One of them appeared in Thirst. Her name is May. She's actually another favorite character of mine. She's how could I put this? A psychic. Yeah, she's pretty much a psychic, but her fighting method is she wields a bag of knives or a bag of guns, and she can control all of them simultaneously. If you think back to like the old X-Men movies from the 90s, where had all the guns pointed at all the police simultaneously, ready to kill everybody. Yeah, that's her like power level. So I'm super excited to see what her role is going to be in 88.
And we are going to start an Indiegogo campaign for this really quickly, and we'll definitely let everyone know about that once that gets up and started. What kind of perks do you think will be on the Indiegogo for our viewers to know about?
Oh man, I'm super excited about it. We've talked about a lot of things. Anthony really likes. It's his way
Mm-hmm.
of supporting all the independent artists that we hire. He's always
Mm-hmm.
pushing independent artist talent and challenging them and bringing them up to a position where they can, make money, do what they love, and give the fans something very special and unique. Um, um, but he wants to, maybe some metallic pinups. He's wanting to do a little bit more in sales, and we want to get more backers so that we can do, foil style trading cards. I don't think we ever talked about pins. I'm not sure he wants to do that. I know that's like a big thing for a lot of campaigns. I do know we talked about a Muffin Man statue. Um, that'll be one of the top tiers in future Kickstarters. And we talked about a lot of other writing perks too. Some unique artwork for those who sign up for the Indiegogo and in the long haul, and not just for for the campaigns and stuff. Stories and letters from characters. We talked about that. I ran across an Etsy, and a former student of mine started an Etsy business where she was selling these letters from your favorite characters from television shows like Supernatural and the originals. And I was like, man, that's a thing. People pay for that, and it's a nostalgic gift. It's a really great idea. And she was selling them for like in between $8 and $12 a pop. And I was like, man, like, dude, I found this Etsy thing. I think we should do this. Like, how cool would it be to get like a little trading card and a message from like your favorite hero from the Limitless Comics universe? I haven't seen any comic book company or independent creator out there do anything like that. And one of the things that makes Limitless Comics really cool is we like to interact with the fans. Anthony likes to give shout outs to people in their videos, and he invites everybody, and he'll message fans back. He shouts out to them in comments on Facebook, through Instagram, and we'd like to get enough viewerships to do like a weekly YouTube do giveaways. Some of the interviews that we've conducted in the past, like Mr. X Comics, and abroad, we've had a few viewers that have won a few things from Anthony. It just has his way of giving back and promoting, and but yeah, the statues and foils and pinups and maybe even letters, possibly even short stories, things like in stories that aren't in the comics that would be unique to Indiegogo subscribers, things of that nature.
All right, that's cool. And where can I go? Where can everyone go to follow everything Limitless Comics related?
Limitless Comics. You can follow Anthony Moore.
Okay.
Hashtag Limitless Comics TV on YouTube and on Facebook. I believe he's got an Instagram for that too. And then Store Envy. Store Envy, limitlesscomics.com, online store where you can get everything Limitless Comics. We got a great package for people who want to read everything we have. It's like $145. You get all the Realmz, all the solos. Thirst will probably be added to that in a few months. It's really great.
Awesome. Well, Mike, it's been really fun speaking with you. I'm really excited to see the new issue of Solo 88, and it's been really fun. I hope we get to see more cool stuff in the future.
Oh, absolutely, man. We'll have to do this again, and I really appreciate you bringing me on and let me talk about Anthony and Limitless Comics, and hope we do this again in the future because Limitless Comics isn't going anywhere. And keep an eye out for things to come, because by the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, big things are going to happen.